Episode 8 of WandaVision is entitled Previously On, and it fills in some gaps we've been hypothesizing and pining over. So let's waste no time with an intro and get on with the M.L. Miller tights. Welcome back to M.L. Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm M.L. Miller. While you might be watching this video on the Kings of Horror Network, I urge you to click over to my M.L. Miller Frights YouTube page and give it a like. Please share with all of your buddies. Click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. WandaVision, Episode 8, is streaming now on Disney+. The series was created by Jack Schaefer, directed by Matt Shakman, from characters created by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Roy Thomas, and John Buscema. Previously On begins with a flashback to Salem, Massachusetts, 1693, with a group of hooded people leading Kathryn Hahn's Agnes, who was revealed last week to be Agatha Harkness, to what looks to be a stake to which she will be burned on. Always flipping those expectations, these aren't witch hunters, but a coven of witches accusing Agatha of betraying her coven, stealing knowledge above her age and station, and practicing the darkest of magic. But Agatha says the power is bent to her will, and she can't control this power. Turns out one of these witches is even Agatha's mother, but that won't save her from their wrath. But instead of Agatha being sucked dry of life energy at the stake, Agatha reverses the power and ends up leaving all of them as withered carcasses. It seems Agatha leeches off this power and adds it to her own. And this is how we begin the penultimate episode of WandaVision. This episode, while providing crucial information leading into next week's last episode, really is more fluffy and fillery than all before it. I say this because it's mainly a This Is Your Life Wanda episode after the Agatha origin opener. And while the episode still features Agatha seemingly drawn to Westview because she sensed so much power emanating from there, this is a Wanda-centric episode that goes back and reminds us who she is and what we need to know about her and her power as we head into the next episode. Agatha seems immune to Wanda's power, mainly because Wanda is in Agatha's domain and the entire episode is trapped within a circle of her runes, leaving Wanda powerless. The episode serves to basically explain what magic is and does, and I guess it does a decent job of it, as Kathryn Hahn chews on the scenery while flicking her wrists and juggling CG energy. Still, explaining magic is tough to do. Like a joke, the more you try to explain it, the less effective it is. After Agatha displays some magic that explains how she and Wanda were able to control people's minds and transform them from one form to another, Agatha acts as a tour guide through Wanda's past life. Her reason is to find out what has made her so powerful, but really it's a way for the viewer to catch up with the story, lacing together a lot of the stuff the audience has already pieced together. We get a scene with Wanda and Pietro as children and find out that Wanda loves American sitcoms. Her father returns from work, where he sells those bootleg sitcoms on the street, and the ones he returns with are exactly the same sitcoms that previous episodes of WandaVision are paying homage to. I Love Lucy, Malcolm in the Middle, Addams Family, The Brady Bunch, and Wanda's favorite, The Dick Van Dyke Show. A bomb goes off while they're watching a specific episode she calls the Walnut episode, where Dick and Mary believe the city is being taken over by aliens, and they are living a life that has been made up by the other forces. It's kind of a similar situation that Wanda and Vision are in right now. Wanda says she loves this episode because in the end, it's all a dream. And hopefully that's not what we're going to get by the end of this season, because that would be a pretty big cop-out. But it also alludes to the dream illusion that Wanda has constructed around herself in Westview. The episode also explains the twins were trapped for 2 days. We heard about that in Age of Ultron. And we find out that while Wanda and Pietro thought the bomb was a dud, it really was Wanda who used her powers to keep the missile from exploding, and that is what saved them. Flash forward a bit, and it's a Hydra facility shortly before Age of Ultron, where Wanda seems to be the only test subject who survived direct contact with Loki's scepter, which housed the Mind Gem and brought the Vision to life. When she approaches the gem, Wanda gets a vision of a woman that looks a lot like Wanda in her comic book costume, floating in the air before passing out. Is this a premonition of things to come, or a visit from Wanda from the future in her most powerful form? Skip forward to another scene where Wanda is under the care of Vision after Age of Ultron. She's grieving and watching more sitcoms and ends up explaining the humor of them to the Vision and bonding with him. Finally, after Endgame, Wanda storms into the Sword facility to find the Vision to give him a proper burial, only to meet that Dick Hayward, played by Josh Sandberg, who explains that they are dismantling the Vision and she won't be able to bury him. The big revelation in this scene is that while Hayward claims Wanda broke in and stole the Vision from the facility, that's not what happened at all. Wanda leaves the dismantled Vision there and goes to Westview, where the Vision has purchased a lot of land for them to build a home together. That's where Wanda has her breakdown, surviving a childhood trauma which helped her manifest her powers at a young age, coming into contact with an Infinity Stone which accelerated those powers, and then finally her two great losses, that of her twin brother Pietro and the love of her life, the Vision. All of that comes together to cause one massive nervous breakdown. It's what Agatha was trying to find out, how that elaborate spell that created the sitcom world of Westview was achieved. That's where we find out that Wanda is the one who recreated the version of the Vision we've been following all this time. It's not like we couldn't have pieced these things together ourselves, but I guess this episode is one for the folks in the cheap seats who need stuff told to them. There's a lot of that going on in this episode. Agatha states in the episode's final moments, as she chokes Wanda's children with energy bands, that Wanda is supposed to be a myth, a being capable of spontaneous creation, a being who doesn't know how dangerous she is. When Wanda tells her to let go of her children, Agatha laughs and lumps the Vision in with the children as creations of Wanda, hinting that the kids, like the Vision, are simply manifestations of her power. It's a big and blustery episode, hinting at a big confrontation in the next one, but ultimately, we're about an inch forward in the story, and there was nary an appearance by Monica Rambeau, Dr. Darcy, Pietro, or Jimmy Woo to be seen. It's all Wanda here, and while we get the Vision in flashback, he doesn't appear in this episode, either in his current form. That's going to leave a lot of stuff to wrap up in next week's show. At least Agatha finally dubs Wanda as the Scarlet Witch in this episode in the end. Oh yeah, there's one hell of a mid-credits sequence here, as it's revealed that Hayward was successful in putting the Vision back together again, though he lacks the colorful hues of his previous form. This harkens back to the West Coast Avengers story by John Byrne. If they're not going to give the guy credit here, I will. This is all Byrne here, where the Vision is taken apart and put together again, but lacks the memories and the soul of his previous incarnation. Look up John Byrne. There's a lot of hate for the guy, but the guy was a major part of the history of Wanda and Vision, and it's a shame he's not getting any credit for it. Looks like the Vision will be taking on himself in the next episode, as Hayward's Vision has all of the Vision's power and none of the soul to hold him back. There are rumors that there's going to be an extra 10th episode of WandaVision, so maybe there will be more time to wrap up some of these theories, conspiracies, controversies, and secrets that are still dangling out there. Let me list them just in case you missed that in my last 6 episodes. Last week I hypothesized that Sir Scratchy is actually Stephen Strange under Agatha's spell. While I think this still might be the case, Agatha's familiar seems rather ravenous when she tosses it a bird to chomp down on. If it's not Strange, then there's some other kind of magic afoot here. The testimony of Agatha to her coven suggests that she had been consorting with more powerful beings and learning spells outside of her station. Again, all fingers point to Mephisto, but who knows if this season will be where that card is dealt, or if it's going to show up in the next Doctor Strange movie. While we get a snippet of Agatha's past here, there is plenty more room for some dealings with evil sorcerers and the devil himself in the last upcoming episode. I still think Hayward is going to be revealed as a Skrull, tying the whole thing in with the upcoming Secret Invasion storyline that will be given its own series on Disney Plus here in the future. Expect more links to the future series next episode, and hopefully more Captain Photon, Tiana Parrish, because I just can't get enough of her. If you look closely on the head of Agatha's mother, you will see a blue energy crown. I think this is what Wanda will be wearing once she has achieved her true form next episode as the Scarlet Witch. I think Agatha's resentment of Wanda, who she thinks has wasted her chaos power to make a family, is going to stem from Agatha wanting to become the Scarlet Witch and trying anything in her power to achieve that goal. Expect another Harkness flashback next week that will fill in those gaps regarding Agatha's vie for power and what she did or who she made a deal with to try to get it. Not a lot else in terms of tidbits. When Wanda has her mental breakdown and lets loose the chaos energy on Westview, the movie theater marquee changes from Tannhauser Gate, put the fun in dysfunction, to the old films Big Red and Kidnapped. Tannhauser Gate is referred to in Blade Runner during Rutger Hauer's Tears in the Rain speech in the end. Blade Runner is the story of androids who sought to live free as humans do, and pretty much runs parallel with the story of the Vision. The fun in dysfunction is a pretty on-the-nose description of what Wanda is doing, trying to make a perfect life out of a dysfunctional real-world one. Big Red is an old Disney movie about a boy and his dog, but the red obviously refers to Wanda's red chaos power, or even Vision, whose skin appears to be red in parts. Kidnapped is another Disney adaptation, this time from a Robert Louis Stevenson book. It's a pirate story, and while that doesn't really have anything to do with WandaVision, Wanda has sort of kidnapped the town and reimagined them to be a part of her sitcom world. Wanda's kids, Tommy and Billy, are also kidnapped by Agatha, so there's that. So while the episode only goosed the plot along about a millimeter or two, it sets things up nicely for next week's big ending. I can't wait. Will Mephisto show up? How about Doctor Strange? Will Hayward turn out to be a Kree or a Skrull? Will Wanda's power trigger the birth of all mutants in the MCU? And what will become of Monica, Pietro, Dr. Darcy, and Jimmy Woo? 7 more days and we'll know what's what. That's also when I will return it once again for another ML Miller Tights dissecting WandaVision. That'll be it for today. Please chime in down below in the comments and let me know how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own review. So guys, you know how YouTube works. I'd love to be able to dedicate more time to this channel. I'm not monetized yet, so if you want to help me out, remember to hit all the pertinent bells and whistles down below. Want some spooky comics to read? I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look out for. Both Grave Trancers and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, can be found in only the finest of comic book shops. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on my website, mlmillerwrites.com. If you really want to show your support, I also have a Patreon page at mlmiller. Look for the link to my Patreon page down below. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality.